Welcome to my Celebrity People in the World channel. Please enjoy with news about the world now. The legacy of George H. W. Bush, the 41st President of the United States, 1989 to 1993. Introduction. George Herbert Walker Bush, the 41st President of the United States, is often remembered as a steady and pragmatic leader who navigated the country through one of the most tumultuous times in recent history. Serving from 1989 to 1993, his presidency marked the end of the Cold War, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and the rise of a new world order. Yet, his time in office was marked by both triumphs and challenges. In this video, we will take a comprehensive look at the life, leadership, and legacy of George H. W. Bush, exploring how his political career shaped the world as we know it today. Early life and career. George H. W. Bush was born on June 12, 1924, in Milton, Massachusetts, to Prescott Bush and Dorothy Walker Bush. Raised in a family with a long history of public service, Bush was molded by an environment where duty and leadership were highly valued. He attended Phillips Academy, an elite prep school, before enlisting in the U.S. Navy during World War II at the age of 18. Bush became one of the youngest aviators in the Navy, flying 58 combat missions in the Pacific and earning the Distinguished Flying Cross for bravery after being shot down during a mission in 1944. After the war, Bush attended Yale University, graduating in 1948 with a degree in economics. His early professional life included ventures in the oil industry, where he achieved significant financial success, and ultimately led him into politics. His first foray into public service came in 1966, when he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives from Texas. From there, he embarked on a successful political career, serving in key positions such as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Chairman of the Republican National Committee, Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, and Vice President of the United States. Vice Presidency, 1981 to 1989. Before becoming President, George H. W. Bush served as Vice President under Ronald Reagan from 1981 to 1989. This period was crucial for Bush, as it allowed him to gain valuable experience in managing the nation's foreign and domestic affairs. As Vice President, Bush had the unique opportunity to be involved in the formulation of key policies, including efforts to contain the Soviet Union and to deal with emerging global threats. One of his most significant roles was overseeing the U.S. response to the growing conflict between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. Bush played a key part in promoting Reagan's foreign policy, which eventually led to the peaceful end of the Cold War. Despite his often low-key, diplomatic style, Bush was deeply influential in helping to shape American policies and relations during these pivotal years. Presidency, 1989 to 1993. When George H. W. Bush assumed office as the 41st President of the United States on January 20, 1989, the world was in the midst of monumental change. The Cold War was winding down, and global politics were in flux. The Soviet Union, the U.S.'s longtime adversary, was on the brink of collapse, and a new era of international cooperation was on the horizon. Foreign policy achievements. One of the most defining moments of Bush's presidency was his handling of foreign affairs. His leadership during the Gulf War in 1990 to 1991 was one of his most significant triumphs. When Iraq, under the leadership of Saddam Hussein, invaded Kuwait, Bush swiftly responded by building a broad coalition of nations, including the United Nations, to force Iraq out of Kuwait. The Gulf War was a remarkable success, as it resulted in the liberation of Kuwait and reaffirmed the U.S.'s role as the world's leading superpower. Additionally, Bush's foreign policy included his pivotal role in the collapse of the Soviet Union. While Ronald Reagan's policies contributed to the fall of communism, it was under Bush that the Soviet Union formally dissolved in December 1991. Bush's diplomatic approach, including his relations with Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev, helped pave the way for the peaceful end of the Cold War. His famous words, "We have won the Cold War," echoed the sense of a historic victory that signified the end of decades-long geopolitical tensions. Bush also played a critical role in managing the transition of Eastern Europe away from Soviet influence and toward democracy. His administration supported democratic reforms and assisted in the peaceful reunification of Germany, which had been divided for over 4 decades. These achievements would cement Bush's legacy as a master of diplomacy and foreign relations. Domestic challenges and economic issues. Domestically, Bush's presidency was marked by a series of challenges, particularly in the area of the economy. When Bush took office, the United States was experiencing a period of economic growth. However, by the early 1990s, the country faced a recession. Unemployment was rising, and consumer confidence was declining. At the same time, there was pressure on Bush to deal with the burgeoning national debt and deficit. One of the most contentious issues during Bush's presidency was his decision to break a campaign promise not to raise taxes. During the 1988 presidential campaign, Bush famously stated, "Read my lips, no new taxes." However, faced with a growing budget deficit and pressure from Congress, Bush reluctantly agreed to a tax increase as part of a budget deal. This decision, though fiscally responsible, was seen as a betrayal by many of his conservative supporters and played a role in his loss in the 1992 election. The 1992 election and legacy. As the 1992 presidential election approached, Bush's approval ratings, which had been high during the Gulf War, began to decline due to the struggling economy and rising public dissatisfaction. The election was marked by a third-party candidacy by billionaire businessman Ross Perot, who siphoned votes away from Bush. Ultimately, the election was won by Democrat Bill Clinton, who campaigned on a platform of change and a promise to focus on the economy. Though Bush lost the election, his legacy as a leader on the world stage remains significant. His foreign policy successes, including his role in ending the Cold War and managing the Gulf War, are often viewed as hallmarks of his presidency. Moreover, his ability to build international coalitions and lead with a steady hand during times of crisis set him apart as a figure of diplomacy and pragmatism. Conclusion: George H.W. Bush may not have served as president for a long time, but his impact on the world stage during his time in office was profound. His leadership helped navigate the United States through the final stages of the Cold War. His handling of the Gulf War reinforced America's military and diplomatic strength, and his dedication to international cooperation left a lasting legacy in global politics. His domestic challenges, particularly with the economy and the tax increase, are often remembered as moments that defined the complexity of his presidency, but they don't overshadow his global achievements. George H.W. Bush's career is a testament to the importance of service, diplomacy, and resilience. As the 41st President of the United States, his legacy is one of strength and civility in the face of adversity, and his contributions continue to shape American foreign policy to this day. Thank you for watching this in-depth look at George H.W. Bush's presidency. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into world leaders and their legacies.